there's no reciprocity, there's no goodwill, there's no negotiating, there's no such thing as bipartisan support. There's only such thing as a uniparty. It is a political party set up against the American people themselves. And they can't be negotiated with. America does not negotiate with terrorists, so that America should not negotiate with the United States. Do you realize we live in two different countries? There is America and there is the United States. They are two very different things. One, good people, Christian values, hardworking, believes in freedom. The other one, the greatest crime family in the history of the world.
Yes, I can kind of get behind that whole statement altogether. That's a very accurate assessment of what we're looking at here, because ever since the unification of all these signed documents that seem to have signed away our sovereignty through the financial system, incorporated through the Rothschilds and all the other elites that hold us hostage to our livelihoods, which is our time that is spent on this earth, which is only limited. I want to break this down real quick and we'll get to Trump. We get 4 weeks in a month, 12 of those in a year. How many do we get of those years? You know, if we're lucky, we get 80 or 90. You know, we used to get 100 plus, but for some reason now the life expectancy is dropping off significantly. And there seems to be a trend towards that pattern to where medical care is just went down the tubes. But there's good news behind the corner here. And I want to show you this breaking article real quick. So let's dig into this, guys. Let's roll the... So let's dig into this real quick, real fast, guys. Thank you for clicking in. I really appreciate all the wonderful support on this ongoing channel that just keeps kind of just tooling along, guys. This is just a great honor. If you can, just hit me a comment up in the comment section. It really, really helps the algorithm of the videos, and of course the like does too, but the comments really help. Just throw me a, I don't know, poop emoji or something. I don't care. Just something in there to kind of get that algorithm to go, hey, let's get this pushed out. So, this, not to complain, channel's not monetized, all pro bono. It's a weird thing. YouTube's hard on us. Georgia judge dismissed several charges against Trump in this bogus election interference case. And we're talking about Georgia. And, dude, so you've heard me mention many times before, once this judge actually listens to the complete phone call in its context, there's going to be some weird things to take place after that. And it was to do with the fact of that Brad Assensberger's had actually illegally recorded the call. That's one problem. Then two, what do they call it? Edited the phone call. I can't think of the words. They edited the phone call, then pumped it out to BS markets like MSNBS and other radio stations that are now owned by George Soros and counting, because he's buying up a bunch of radio stations and going after certain. They did that back in 2020 to scare the crap out of a bunch of Mexicans that were like listening to the Mexican radio to go against Trump. It was crazy. So that's a tactic that Soros is doing. Anyway, so digging into this article, George Soros Judge Scott McAfee partially sided with former President Donald Trump and dismissed several charges against the former president in the bogus Georgia election interference case. I don't know what's going to happen with Fani Willis. I'm not going to make any pretrial judgments. I would love to send Hopium out there that we would see what's really going on, because in the real world, this is complete and total ethics violations 101. But with the way things go, we can only just take the small wins and run with them and just hope for the best later. And that's where I'm at. It says it can be recalled that the bogus racketeering case in Atlanta against former President Donald J. Trump and others has been assigned to Scott McAfee, a recently appointed Fulton County Superior Court judge who once served under Soros-funded Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Soros-funded District Attorney Fani Willis returned 10 junk indictments against President Trump for questioning the 2020 thing. There's words in there that would you two would be mad. So long story short, what happened in 2020 just didn't seem right. So a right protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. And we've seen this time and time again, because we've watched other sides of the aisle question elections relentlessly on mainstream networks in front of a bunch of people, and nobody's ever said anything. They're already openly admitting that they're going to try to do something weird if Trump can win and swing this 2024 election through all of the weird things that may take place up until that. They are vowing to do this thing called not certifying it, which is like what they completely went after Trump for, but at least his claims seem somewhat legitimate, I guess, if you will. But President Trump and his confidants were indicted on a total of 41 charges, with Trump facing 13 counts last year, a blatant attack for those who dared to challenge the integrity of the 2020 thingamajings. So, additionally, 30 unindicted co-conspirators are being scrutinized for their role in exposing election irregularities. And I've got another article, too, that's a really good win, and we'll talk about that in a second. But these are some of the people here. I'm just scrolling through that. This is a developing thing, so we're going to find out more later on as the day goes on, and I'll hopefully try to bring something else to you. But on Wednesday, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee quashed 6 of the indictments, including 3 directly implicating Donald Trump, the AP reported, which is an associated left-wing media press thing. You know, this is something they're like, oh, just having they're mad about what was going on. And so I'm looking behind me to see if there's customers. Customers will be standing at the door. This includes 2 charges tied to the controversial phone call on January 2nd, when which Trump spoke to Georgia Secretary Brad Raffensperger. And, you know, I could read through all the stuff, but his count 2 alleges multiple defendants solicited elected members in Georgia to violate their oaths of office. What he was trying to do is get people to come forward with what evidence they had, signed affidavits. Count 5 alleges defendant Trump solicited, which way that's freedom of speech, and you're allowed to do that because that's normal. You have to speak up if something's wrong. Count 5 alleges Donald Trump solicited the Speaker of the House to importuning him to call a special session to unlawfully appoint presidential electors, which is actually legal, if I'm not mistaken, because that's in the Constitution to protect voter rights. Count 6 alleges defendants Smith and Giuliani solicited members of Georgia House representatives to violate their oaths. All I'm going to say is Fruby Riemann. And it didn't. And Giuliani actually wasn't the one that leaked that. She did it herself on her own Instagram page before anybody said anything. So it's weird. You can look into that. I mean, allegedly. So count 23 that multiple defended, solicited elected members of the Georgia Senate and violating their oaths. It's a bunch of. In other words, all of these charges are pretty much all constitutionally protected because Trump had to ask the questions because nobody else would. We had that stupid pumped up lip from the fat in her butt, Ronna McDaniel, who didn't do anything, and Trump had to do something. He's seen what was going on, and he only wanted it to be fair. And he said, if you can prove that everything is legitimate, then, well, she stepped down anyways, but I'll leave. We'll call it a day. I'll shut up. No problem. Everybody can go home. Turn the lights off. No big deal. But nobody ever would allow evidence to go in front of the judges. The judges would say no standing and so forth. And then that gave media talking points to say that because nothing was, the courts didn't find any wrongdoing. The courts never did anything. So the next thing I want to talk about, Trump is now the official Republican presidential nominee. Just completely wiped the field. I mean, yes, Washington, D.C., whatever, and Vermont, whatever. You guys, Vermont took a whole lot of time to count. So let me just watch this. Let's go into this. Good. This is just a great news article. And I got a Jack Smith thing we'll work in real quick. And here we go. Let me just read into this. We're going to dig into this. Trump wins Washington State primary, clinching the GOP nomination for 2024. That's right. Donald Trump has won the Washington State primary, giving him the required number of delegates to clinch the GOP nomination. The left goes, clinch? No. Keep that out of there. But, yes. Delegates, there's not even a number here. Haley, I watched this go all the way across the United States. He just came in there like a wrecking ball. And then Miley Cyrus was like, huh? Anyhow. So with no major challengers left, both Trump and President Biden, who locked up the party's nomination earlier, because, nobody else, somehow or another, I just feel like there's going to be a big mic that's going to come sliding up in there with, sliding through some butt mud. If you're feeling kind of crud and you something in the mud, diarrhea. Anyways, so this is who locked up the party's nomination and were on course to collect nearly all the delegates up for grabs. Tuesday's contest, putting each of them over the top and making them the Democratic and Republican presumptive to presidential nominees. Yes. So anyhow, that's a really good, feel-good article, except for the fact that it scares the crap out of the other side of the aisle, which makes them run like a scalded dog, which we would say around here. if you were to dump hot water on a dog, it would run around real fast or whatever. But we don't do that. I'm just saying, a scalded dog. Think about that. And the left is doing that right now because they're really cornered into a situation where they're going to have to, they can't win it by merit. They've got to either do it by force or censorship or tyranny or all the above, and it's going to be quite an interesting run considering the fact that they don't want us to be free. They want us to be held underneath a globalist entity. Now, their only other option right now still and under the table, which is the least, I guess, less violent, is the lawfare. Special Counsel Jack Smith hit with an official election interference complaint. Thanks to Representative Matt Gaetz. And so Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida has filed a complaint with the Inspector General's Office of the Department of Justice alleging that Special Counsel Jack Smith's effort to try former President Donald Trump amounts to the election interference. It's because it seems to be he's really concerned of a certain timeline, which we all are, but we wouldn't be under a certain timeline if this dude right here wasn't making up bogus charges on stuff that's actually all legitimately been done by other presidents. For some odd reason, it's illegal when Trump does it. I don't understand. Is it because you're getting in the way of the World Economic Forum and what they're trying to do? Or is it the fact that, they want society to break down underneath illegal immigration and there's a problem there? I mean, can somebody please tell me in the comment section, what do you think the deal is with this whole Jack Smith thing? And they're trying to recall Aileen Cannon, the judge that's actually looking over all this stuff, because she's calling the shots pretty fair, I think, to a certain extent. And the witch hunting, and by the way, she must be in a bunker somewhere because I don't know how the Clintons hadn't got to her yet. But the witch hunting against the President Trump by Attorney General Garland and Special Counsel Smith is a partisan exercise of the American people, and we all know it. I'm reading the article, but it's true with an exclamation point. But, he's trying to speed up the trials, trying to do all this crazy stuff, and everything he's doing just keeps backfiring to where it's actually taking him more time, and now he's looking more and more stupid. But Jack Smith is well known for losing many, many, many high-profile cases. He was well known for his intimidation tactics on other people in other countries for this, like trying to do things where they'll hit you financially if you don't just succumb to what they want. They'll make up charges and do stuff. You can look into his background. That's all Jack Smith has been good for. He's a jackboot thug, special prosecutor / wannabe judge type person and all that. And everybody knows it, just like Nathan Wade's never done any kind of legitimate lawyering that we can think of. And somehow or another, he got this high profile case with plunging Fonnie Willis's toilet. Anyhow, so thank you very much for tuning in. Please hit that like, subscribe, and share, as I beg of you, please. Have a very wonderful, excellent, awesome rest of the day, guys, and I'm out. Yes, I'm out. I'm gone. Woo.